Hi, I'm Christopher Walker with Closely Observed English. In this video, I'm going to talk about students who are taking the B2 First or First for Schools exam or the C1 Advanced exam and the Reading and Use of English paper. I asked the question on social media recently, what's the best order in which to approach the Reading and Use of English paper? Should you do the tasks in order from 1 to 7 for B2 First and First for Schools, or 1 to 8 for C1 Advanced, or should you take a different approach? In this video, I'm going to give you my answer. So, looking at Facebook and Instagram and some of the comments I've read in different forums, it seems that some students have their own way of approaching the Reading and Use of English paper. Some students like to do the reading tasks first and then move on to the use of English because they think that the reading will take longer and they want to make the most of their time. The use of English parts they can do a bit quicker. If you've practiced and you feel comfortable doing it this way, then fair enough, stick with it. If it works for you, that's great. But I'm going to suggest that you take the paper in the order that it's presented in the exam. So you start with part 1 and you work through the different parts to the end. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is really the biggest reason. When you do the Reading and Use of English paper, the first 4 parts of the test are more productive. You have to supply the language, especially in parts 2, 3 and 4. Now these are the use of English parts of the Reading and Use of English paper. In part 2, the open close, you have a short text with some gaps. You have to think of the word that will go into those spaces. In part 3, the word formation task, you have another short text with gaps. You're given a word in the root form, you have to change the word to fit the gap. And in part 4, the sentence transformation task, you have a sentence, a word, and a new sentence that you have to complete so that the meaning is the same. I think it's a good idea to start with those 4 tasks, including part 1, which is actually part of the reading paper. But I think it's a good idea to start with these 4 tasks because they are productive, and that means that your brain has to think and bring out the language that it knows, ready for when you then do the reading paper, which is more about your receptive skills. Also, the kind of skill within English that you use for parts of the use of English, you need to use again in the reading. For example, let's look again at part 2, the open close. So here you have to think of the word to fit each space. Now this word might be a conjunction, a linking word, such as though or however or because. Linking words help to build the meaning of sentences and paragraphs. And when you do the reading section later, then you might find that your answer comes from understanding the use of the word however or though in the text. If it shows a contradiction or a change in meaning, it could give you the answer in, for example, part 5, the multiple choice reading, or later in part 7 or 8, depending on the exam, with the multiple matching. Likewise, in part 2, the open close, the word you need might be a pointing word, like this or it, or something related like which from a relative clause. Yeah? When you look at the gapped text exercise, which in B2 First would be part 6, you have sentences missing from a text, Or in C1 Advanced, this would be part 7, where you have paragraphs missing from the text. Your knowledge of how these words operate, how they are used, will help you get the answers. But if you had to produce them first in part 2, your brain will still be actively ready to use them when you get to the reading. You'll be more ready or prepared or primed to see that sort of thing. And when you come to part 4, which is this sentence transformation, you're thinking productively about how to change the language you're given to keep the meaning the same. And where do you have to do that? Well, in the final part of the reading and use of English paper, you have the multiple matching task, which is where you have different texts on the same topic and 10 questions. You have to match those questions to the relevant text. How does that work? Well, it's really a hunt for synonyms. You're looking for the same idea expressed in 2 places, but using different words or phrases. Well, where did you do that? In part 4. So again, by doing part 4 first, you're ready when you come to that final part. The other reason that you might want to do the tasks in order from 1 to the end is because if you approach the last task in the right way, and I have made a video on exactly that right way, you'll find it in the cards at the end of this video. If you approach the last task the right way, and you do the first part, second part, third part, and suddenly the examiner says 5 minutes remaining, doesn't really matter too much, because if you've done the task the right way, the answers that you haven't filled in for text A, B or C, those answers must go with text D, which means if you're really pushed for time, you don't have to do all of the last task. You can still get the right answers without reading the last part of the text. You can be a bit more efficient. So there you go. Those are my 2 reasons. And just to recap, the 2 reasons I think you should do them in order. First of all, start with the productive part so that your brain is kind of ticking over. It's ready for the receptive part that you get in the reading. And the second reason was, if you have the right tactical approach to the exam, if you can't finish everything in time when you come to that last task, you'll still be able to do all of it without having to read all of it. So, as I promised, there's a link coming up to that video that will help you. I know that some students have got their exams coming up. If you're coming back to this video much later after its publication date, but you're getting ready for an exam, good luck. If this video proved helpful to you, please like it and think about subscribing to the channel. If you have any other questions about exam preparation, I'd love to hear from you. I'm very happy to make videos. I have a lot of experience of teaching exams. I've been teaching them for a long time now, and I feel that I know 1 or 2 things. I'm happy to share them with you. So until next time, thank you very much. Now I'm just going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs whilst the title cards come up with that link that I promised you. So